feeling good, alive. Hey, no matter what comes my way, I will be all right. Oh, hey y'all. I'm sorry. I'm in my Anita Dupree bag, okay? Okay. Welcome to Shade in the City. I am your girl Treese, and we're here to get into season 1, episode 39 and 40 of Beyond the Gates. I will break this up, put a timestamp in the middle for you for those who have not seen episode 40 yet. So if you want to cut this off and then come back and watch for the second part so you don't have any spoilers, I'm happy to do that for you because I'm a little late. But y'all, I've been on the road. Okay. I can't even tell you how many hours I've been on the road this weekend. It's been ridiculous. But if you haven't already, please make sure you guys hit that like button. You guys have been doing an amazing job showing your support. I actually feel like this is probably one of the most liked videos according to our analytics. So I really appreciate that. And I hope you guys continue to support. Also, make sure you guys subscribe because you liking the vibe, or else you get a whole theme song right before you get the whole, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I appreciate y'all. Let's get into this episode and let's get shady. Alive. No matter what comes my way, I'ma be all right. You guys, I would love your thoughts in the comments as always, because I really felt like I don't really have that much to give you for episode 39. It was literally kind of centered around Anita's performance and getting her on stage. But again, we love the family scenes, love seeing everybody together. So we start off with Naomi, Danny, and Anita. They get to Uptown, and apparently it's karaoke night. And Anita doesn't seem too enthused about this. And, they're joined by Kat and Chelsea because they were already there, right? Danny lets them know once the whole family is in the club, she got a surprise. Now, Nicole is still talking to Vanessa. Remember, that's where we left off, episode 38. And she's talking about how she's worried about Doug. Vanessa said that Doug has doubled his shifts. Nicole tells her that, well, you've kind of shifted as well. You got all this extracurricular activity going on. But the fact that you still care shows that this could still be worked on if you guys, communicate and you're both willing to, work on it. Then we know Joey popped up on Doug at the hospital, okay? And he tells Joey he needs to be made whole, and if he can't make money, what else can he do for him? So then, Doug just sitting there on stuff. So then we take it back to Vanessa, who tells her that, oh, well, you just make it sound so simple. And, Nicole's like, look, this is going to take hard work and communication to rebuild your marriage. Ted comes down ready to crack Nicole. This is a new word that I learned. Shout out to Never Ever Mets. He comes down ready to crack Nicole. And you know what? They too old and too grown for crack. I'm not even going to disrespect them like that. He came down ready to make some love, okay, to Nicole. And he was like, oh, we still got company. And so she's like, I'm still not done yet. Okay, I'm still not done yet, Ted. So Vanessa is just in love with the fact that they're so still in love after all these years of marriage, right? And I can understand why, because she wants that for herself. Nicole tells her that it's time for her to evaluate whether Doug can keep up with her desires sexually and emotionally. And Doug tells Joey back at the hospital that he doesn't have any skills that he needs in his line. Joey tells him that he doesn't know his line. Okay, so back up off my business and what you think, and lets him know you know what? Anybody that's on my line knows better than to take any money from me. And so Doug says, well, I never knew that there was any type of deadline. And Joey says that, well, look, you've been informed. You've been informed. Here's your notice. You've been served. All right. And so Doug's like, well, I got assets, but I need time to get to them. And Joey says, well, right now, Doug, it looks like we're a little bit of an impasse. And you need to figure that out. That's not my problem. My problem is getting my money. Your problem is how you gonna get it to me. All right. Now, Eva is at the country club. She's talking to these event planners. I did not get their names, but they're, obviously planning for Ted and Nicole's anniversary arrangements, which are supposed to be absolutely just over the top. And Eva tells them that she wants those little pigs in a blanket. I had to add that. I'm sorry. Because I was like, oh, girl. Oh, girl. And they laugh at her. They take a little chuckle because, they high sedity, right? And they tell her that, you know what? You don't worry about making no decisions. We'll bring the magic. We just need you to bring the information. All right. They want it kind of themed after, when and where they met. And the planner says that, and Eva really doesn't have any information. She's like, oh yeah, they met at a medical conference. I think it was Hawaii or something like that. And so they're like, you know what? Don't worry about it. We can just call Kat. And so Eva's like, please, please, please don't do that. I'm really not trying to lose my job. I am really not trying to lose my job. Okay. I am so grateful for this opportunity. Somebody like me doesn't get hit with nothing like this. Please just give me a chance, okay? So I can keep my job. So she's like, look, I'll find out everything you need me to know. So they tell her, well, look, text us once you have the information. And the mail planner is like, you a little too invested. And Eva blames it on, oh, I'm just so grateful. I'm just so grateful that Ted and Nicole have invited me into a part of their world. Because that's what it was giving. Okay. And Tomas walks in and they lock eyes, and she tells the planners she plans to make herself at home in Fairmont Crest now that she's been invited to the party. Okay. Mona tells Ashley's mama, I never knew, I still to this day do not know Ashley's mama's name, and ask me if I care. So if y'all know it, y'all can drop it in the comments. And am I gonna, I may use it. I appreciate y'all, being my virtual co-host here. So if y'all want to drop it in the comments, but I'll be honest, will I probably use it? No. But I always appreciate the information. Mona is again running her mouth, talking to Ashley's mama about how the antibiotics are working, but the infection just, Laura can't seem to kick it, right? She talks about how great it is that, Eva has come and filled in the spot, short notice, and obviously not being, well trained or having any experience. Said that everyone loves her except Kat. And we all know why. And Mona is like, I don't understand it because she wasn't like that with Laura. And I was like, right. Because Kat is hip and she's on to that woman. Okay. Then we see 5 guys walk in. And y'all, I am trying. And Shade Squad, I welcome you. Okay. Again, y'all are my virtual co-hosts here. I have a feeling we're about to get a 6th member to this group. Okay. So what names can we think of? I was thinking maybe we can call her the 6th Sense at this point. I don't know. Help me out in the comments. We got to come up with a name because we can already see she comes in with these shopping bags and these dresses and more wigs. So we know we getting another somebody. Somebody else gonna show up. So we just need to be ready with the name. Okay. So she lies to them and tells them that she made this money at Lakeview off of slot machines. And we all know that's bull. So Vernon shows up at Uptown, followed by Martin and Smitty. The waitress comes over and she's like, oh, y'all ready to sing? And Anita says, look, I'm just here spectating. So then we kind of see where, and I ain't gonna hold you as somebody who kind of like does that. I hate when people like put me on the spot. I love karaoke, but I don't like when I'm not ready to perform and people try to like force me out to do it. Because You're already nervous as it is. So anytime somebody like pushes you to do it when you're not ready, it just makes the nerves worse and anxiety worse, in my opinion. So I understood where she was coming from. So some woman walks in, and I want to know what y'all thought about this. And I might be reaching again. Look, let me get my fishing hook. I never fish, y'all, so that might not be how I really go. That might not be how I go for real, but I believe that's how I go. So So this little lady walks up into Uptown, and she's thanking Burning for the move, and I just thought it was weird. Anita gets up and kind of like removes herself, and I know that she normally does that because she's used to people coming up to him and whatever. I don't know. Something didn't feel right about her. The fact that they kept cutting back to her. I know y'all gonna tell me I'm preaching, and that's okay. That's what we're here to do, is reach. All right. But I don't know. It gave, I want to say she was just a proud, I'm so proud of what you've done in your community and whatever. I want to say it was that, but it was giving a little bit of groupie vibes. But anyway, so Chelsea asked her mother how's everything going with the new charity. Danny says that, I'm not really into that, and I'm actually working on I got something in the works. And so Chelsea wants to know more, and she's like, oh, no. What we're not going to do is keep secrets and then think that I'm about to tell you mine. And I said, well, I won't tell your secrets. Okay. So Danny was like, no, you're not gonna play in my face, not on my head top. All right. Danny's like, you know what? I don't even want to talk about that right now. I'm just so happy to have everyone that I love in the same room. And just toast to everyone being there. And then Danny goes over to share with Nicole because she's walked in with Ted, and she goes, because I was wondering, because she was sitting on the couch with Vanessa for a real long time, and I was like, when you gonna get up, girl? But I guess it's the therapist in her. She feel like she can't end the appointment. I don't know. But so she finally gets up, and they end up and so Danny tells her the plan, and it's really cute because they're all excited about surprising Anita or whatever and seeing her perform. Now, Eva walks past Tomas on her way out, supposed to be on her way out of the country club. And he's like, you know what? The way I seen you handling business and, acting like a boss, I feel like I should buy you a drink and I'm going to take it home with me. Because that's what it was giving. And so Eva's concerned about, well, I don't want Kat popping up. And he lets her know that, look, she's at a family function, so she's good. And then she's like, well, if she really, y'all must not be that serious if she chose her family over you. And I said, little hussy, for somebody who ain't got no family, you got a whole lot to say. And I know you're not going to like that, cutie pie. I'm just shouting out one of our subs, but yeah, I know she don't see it for Kat, and she's rooting for Eva, and I just I can't. But anyway, so then we jump back over to Uptown, and Kat asked Chelsea if she's asked Danny about joining their Chelsea Cat. Is that how I got it? Chelsea Cat line. And Chelsea questions whether they really need Danny, since basically they've been killing it, right? But Chelsea is like, you know what? And she's just watching Danny from afar. And she's like, and I don't want to say that she said her mother was draining, but it was kind of giving that vibe, if that makes sense. Like, she's just teamed too much. And it's a lot. And I can understand where Chelsea's coming from. Danny is a lot. Now, Vernon asked Martin and Smitty about what's going on with his great grandchildren. So they fill him in on how Samantha's upset because she can't be America's Next Top Model. Tyrell's going through the whole bullying thing. They show him the picture, tell him the whole scenario, and they ask him for his advice on how to handle it. And so, because of course, Martin looks to his grandfather for everything, right? So Vernon said, but why don't you ask somebody like that knows about this stuff. And so he calls Chelsea over and involves her in the conversation. And Chelsea's like, well, you know what I'm saying? He just needs to act like this picture don't even exist and just keep posting pictures of him living his best life, and they'll get over it eventually. And I kind of agree with her. So, you know, Smitty says that he dealt with, you know, not fitting in, and so he just doesn't want he struggled and he carried that with him. So he doesn't want Tyrell or Samantha to deal with that as well. And Vernon suggests that he share that experience with Tyrell, but also says don't underestimate Tyrell because he beat me at chess and he has more moves than you think. And I absolutely agree with that. Now Doug tells Joey that he's smart enough to find a way to get him this money by tomorrow. Joey tells him that, look, you're a problem. Is there anybody that can help you? Anybody that can help you solve this problem? So Doug said, well, I ain't got nobody to ask for help because then I got to explain why. And so Joey was like, oh, well, do you screw up as many surgeries as you do poker hands? And so this is when I was like, oh shit. Doug started to like boss up on him. And he lets Joey know, I'm a damn good cardiac surgeon and you can go to hell, mofo. I'm gonna keep it clean for y'all, okay? So Joey tells him to watch how he speaks to him because, you know, I would hate to have to add a tax of 100K. And I said, not us add, not tariffs, not tariffs. He asked him if anyone, if there's anyone who cares enough about him to get him out of this jam. And of course, we know he's gonna you know, Doug knows Vanessa would do it. I don't know why he said it out loud, but he did. And so Joey tells him Vanessa is ascending, and she'd probably solve his problems by selling a few houses in a day. And so Doug tells him, but Vanessa doesn't know. And Joey tells him, well, that's why you probably don't want to tell her because you're scared that you'll lose her. And so Doug was like, she'll never leave me. Why literally, and I can't even, no, Doug. I was getting ready to say her soundtrack was sitting home waiting for you, but she ain't even sitting at home. She's gonna go do what she do. So I don't know what illusion, and maybe I don't know. Maybe they need to show me something that show. I guess because they got kids, because they don't even. I don't know about y'all. And maybe it's just the actors and whatever. They don't seem like they really like each other for real. Even when he tried real hard to be like, no, Vanessa, and I'm when he what did he say last time? And I made that the whole thumbnail, and he said he was the happiest he had ever been in his life. And she's miserable as I don't know. It's Doug, you're delusional. Okay. Clearly the same way you are about your gambling habit. Joey tells Doug that Vanessa doesn't even know who he is. And that's when I think Doug finally realized, oh, so you really been talking to my wife. He asked, and so Doug is like, so you threatening to tell her? I don't know about y'all. I mean, I would have been concerned about that, but I probably would have had a couple more questions in why he said that. Right. So Joey says that he doesn't make threats, but says that if Vanessa's not the answer, then he needs to find out what is. And then Vanessa walks in looking confused as hell. So Vanessa asks, well, Joey, what are you doing here? And, you know, he pretends to be checking in on Doug. Random. And the fact that she didn't question that deeper is weird. And he's like, despite what people think, I'm so caring. And I was like, and Vanessa gonna really fall for this bullshit. She irritates me so bad. He leaves and Vanessa wants to know what happened. So Doug explains to her, and Vanessa questions like, yo, what's really going on with you? Vanessa tells him that, look, you know, maybe this is a good, you know, you could take some downtime. And he does agree. And Doug tells her, but he does reassure her, like, look, this is not about our marriage, and this is just all about me, which it's about both. It's about both. But I know you can't see it. We see it, but I know you can't see it. Now, Kat is at Uptown talking to her daddy about the upcoming anniversary party, and Ted tells her that Eva and Nicole have it handled. Kat wants to step in because she thinks Eva doesn't know anything. But Ted asks her, the best thing you could do for me and your mother is to let this whatever you got with Eva go. Now, Naomi gets up and she decides that she wants to start singing. And so she messes up the song. All right. And then asks Danny to join her for backup. They call Anita on stage to join them. And, the crowd is chanting. And Anita takes a real good minute and admits to Vernon that she thinks that, she doesn't have it. She's not who she used to be. And she has a legacy. And she's not trying to get up here and be like some of the people that we've seen that sometimes just don't know when to let it go. I'm not going to name any of our legends because I don't want to be disrespectful, but y'all can drop them in the chat and I'll like if I agree, right? So Nicole comes over and gives her some supportive words, and Kat chimes in, and she finally gets the nerve to do so. Decides to perform, she gets up on stage, and then she like freezes, of course, but then eventually she gets up there and does her thing, and has her moment. And I was happy for Miss Anita, right? Then we see Five Guys back at Off Free Jeans, and she's talking about the dresses and wigs, and Mona is like, "Are you sure there's no man involved?" So then she tells them that she lies and said that she was reacquainted with her ex, which I guess that's not a lie. She finally told the truth about something. And was Ted really your ex, or was he your cuddy buddy? Were y'all really like dating? Or were y'all just cracking? I'm just wondering. But she ain't gonna give him no information. But she said that this shopping spree is more like a vision board of what she wants her relationship to be with this man. And I love when and I think they were telling us something, giving us a little hint. You got your basket? We ain't got money for eggs. Put your nugget in it. But I feel they Ashley's mama said that for a reason, when she was like, isn't that what they do on the crime shows where they get the board? And I know it was supposed to be funny, but I was like, the fact that, and she was like, the Erder board, and I was like, yeah, because that's where she gonna be. That's where she gonna be. They tell her how happy they are for her for being able to overcome this hurt after losing her husband. Which I don't know if I told y'all this theory already or if I just kept this to myself, because sometimes I forget. Y'all, I think she unalived that man. I think she has something to do with the unaliving of Alan. Like, I'm almost 89% sure. And it just hasn't come out yet. I think she did something. I think she was getting tired of him. And it sounded like it, but oh well. Tomas is back at the country club telling Eva about the case against, Bill's firm and how Naomi was suing him. And this apparently hits a soft spot for Eva because she's like, oh, that must have been hard for her to take on her dad. And I couldn't imagine having to take on my biological father. And then she gets emotional and starts talking. And so, Tomas is like, well, you can open up to me because we're friends. And so she starts going on about, not having a dad, Alan not really wanting to be a father figure to her because she wasn't his blood, or at least that's how she felt. And then Tomas tells her that it's Alan's loss, but Eva admits her real issue is, she has a hard time watching Kat and Ted and wanting that relationship for herself with her biological father. And of course, because she thinks her biological, and yes, I said what I said, because she thinks Ted is her biological father. That's why she's pining away and hates the relationship. I don't even think it has, I think it might still be triggering, right? To see, but obviously when you think that that's your daddy too, of course it's definitely going to be triggering, right? All right, so then we see Joey on a call. They end the show, and I don't want to say they ended the show this way, but basically this is my last note. Joey's on the phone with somebody and lets them know that excuse me, Doug had a setback, y'all, and that he ain't had nothing to do with it, but he has him right where he wants him. And I'm gonna assume it was Randy, of course, because who else would he be talking to? But we never know because it's Joey, and he also was trying to shop for a house for his unalive mom. So, yeah. that was episode 39 of Beyond the Gates. So I'm going to cut it right here. If you guys haven't seen 40 yet, I would take a pause for the cause and yeah, come back when after you get a chance, and then we can recap. All right, y'all. So this is episode 40 of Beyond the Gates. Yes, things may look a little different because I decided I was just gonna go ahead and knock this out before I go into the office today. But we start off with Samantha and Chelsea. We see them, I believe they're at the country club, and Samantha, as we know, she's eager to get to work. So Chelsea tells her that she needs to decide. You know, she's still trying to figure things out. She said, "Just sit and wait. I'm still trying to decide on my team of people." And so Kat walks in and basically accuses Chelsea of hiding from her because she's waiting on her to make a decision. So Samantha wants to know what in the world they're talking about. And of course, we know it's about bringing Danny on the board as their chief. I thought it was chief marketing person, chief marketing officer, I believe. Chelsea says, you know, she's still undecided. And, you know, she's like, I just want something for myself and want to do something on my own that I don't have to share with my mother. And I think Danny kind of shares the same sentiments, but yeah, I was right about something else. That's why I made sure I brought my happy butt up here. Okay. Because I was right again. We'll get there. Ted walks in and Nicole is at the country club. They're trying to get all their arrangements together for the big anniversary party. And, you know, she's just gloating about, you know, how much she just loves this version of him. And he's just been so in tune ever, you know, with the big anniversary on the way. I don't think they ever, did they ever tell us how many years they're celebrating? Did they ever say that? Because they just keep saying wedding anniversary, but hey, cheers to happiness, right? Now, Five Guys has gifted Eva with these dresses or with a dress for the anniversary party. She tells her, we can't have you looking dusty, girl. We need you, you know, this is your night. This is your coming out party. Okay. And so Eva questions, why would you be spending Ted's money on a dress? And Five Guys feels like, well, you know, you deserve the best before you know, crush their whole world. Eva feels like, you know, well, then people are going to assume that's exactly what I was here for, which it was about money. So of course, Five Guys was like, well, why are you pushing back so much lately? I don't understand. And she's like, you know, I need you to come back around to basically the plan at hand that we had in place. And she's like, is this what you really want? And so of course, you know, Eva pacifies her by telling her, yeah. And so Eva fakes, as I wouldn't even say fake. She does get a text message from Nicole asking her to meet her at the country club. However, she lies and tells Five Guys that basically she was supposed to go across town to do something for the cake or whatever. And so she lies right before Eva steps out. She goes through her phone, and of course she sees that she lied to her. So now she's feeling away. And that's the last thing we want is any of the Five Guys feeling away. Okay. Kat stops by the Hamilton law firm office to drop off some coffee for Tomas. She shares the video of her grandmother performing the night before, and Haley and Bill walk in and they're like, oh, the singing sounds great. And, you know, Kat lets them know, yes, that's my grandmother. And that's my Aunt Danny living her best life, not worried about you. And so, of course, you know, Haley feels away because, you know, oh, I guess we missed out. Yeah, you did. Okay. So after this, Kat lets Bill know that she talked to Naomi and she heard about the case and, you know, heard it was a win for the women in all the women in this office, not just the three that sued him. And she's like, what do you think, Tomas? And so, of course, Tomas is like, you know, I think that, you know, an equitable workplace is good for everyone. So Bill's like, you know what, Kat, you have a nice day. Tomas, can I see you in my office? Because you and your guest are doing a lot. All right. So they, you know, promise to meet back up for lunch. Andre drops by Danny's unexpectedly, which he seems to do a lot. I mean, I know most of the time she calls him, but just the way he be at the door all the time when she turn around, it's getting a little strange. I find strange, but it's giving strange. So Danny thinks he's there to come over and basically keep tabs on her, and make sure she's not drinking. And he sees a glass on the table and he assumes it's like vodka or gin, and it actually happens to be water. And so she lets him know, look, I appreciate you being my knight in shining armor and coming to my rescue. However, I'm good. I'm no longer in distress. Thank you. And she says, but I do appreciate you being real with me as well. And so she's like, she talks about wanting to find her own way, kind of like we heard Chelsea earlier on this episode. And she's like, every time I've done something, it's either been with Bill or with Chelsea. And the last time she's ever did anything for her was when she was a model. So she basically lets him know that she's planning on finding her own path, and not necessarily always being partnered with somebody. But she does let him know about the modeling agency opportunity with Pamela and that she's thinking about it, but she still seems like she's on the fence. Now, Vernon is sitting watching a playback. They are at Uptown, and he's watching a playback of Anita's performance. Anita is scolding Vernon because apparently he has set up some meeting with a sketchy talent agent, or at least that's what Anita believes. And she's not interested in anything he has to say. Jim Price is the man's name. He shows up and Anita wants to leave. Vernon acts like he has an impromptu phone call. How convenient. And so Jim said, look, Anita, I know you don't really see it for me. You told me last night when I tried to approach you that you really, I knew you wasn't. That's why I went through your husband. Okay. Because I know you don't see it for me. But he said, I think you overdue for a comeback. And she's like, look, you're crazy. I am not the same person that I used to be when I was at my peak performance. And he's like, no, and I think it'd be great. And she was like, well, the only reason it was great is because I had my daughter and my granddaughter up there with me. And he was like, well, we can put them in the show too. He was like, it'll be with a marquee with your name in lights, Anita Williams, one night only. And she was like, I think you sound real crazy. However, I think he's starting to get her wheels to turn. And she's like, oh, well, I'll consider it. And then, of course, Vernon returns and he's like, look, I think that you can do it. I've seen you do it. And you've put so much into this family. I think it's time for you to do something to make you happy. And it's so funny because we see most of the Dupree ladies kind of in this, I've given up everything for my kids, or I've been working with my mom and I just want to find and do what makes me happy. So yeah, I noticed that's kind of a repeat thing. I think the biggest part about this scene is Anita really admitting that she's just really terrified that she's not the same person that she used to be. Bill, after he has Tomas in his office, he lets him know that you remind me a lot of myself when I was younger, and I could see you being partner one day, which of course that's manipulation. And he's like, but are you willing to do what you need to do? And so Tomas is like, what do I need to do, boss? I can't stand Tomas, y'all. And of course, Bill lets him know, look, these ladies are coming back on board. They starting this whole little review board. And I want you to be on the board with them. And I want you to come back and tell me everything they said. So Tomas said, so hold on. Because when Bill first said it too, I was like, where is this going, Bill? But then we said, I want you to tell me everything. I said, oh, there we go. And so Tomas is like, but that's a private meeting and whatever's said in there is supposed to be confidential. And Bill just looked at him. He said, well, if you can't handle it, bro, just let me know. Because, old Stevie over here, I mean, he a little slow, he a little green, but, he's willing to, work hard, move up. And so Tomas is like, nah, I got it. I got this. Okay. Even though he, I guess. Well, I mean, I feel like he does have being manipulative. He got that. Okay. Now, Nicole and Eva are going over the party details. Nicole excuses herself, and Ted tells Eva about this piece of jewelry, which I believe was a bracelet that he's ordered for Nicole. And he told the store to call Eva. So he's just giving her the heads up. Then Sherry walks into. So Five Guys has decided to put on her Sherry face. Okay. So they sitting around, and as they talking about seating arrangements, Nicole makes it known she wants Eva to be sitting at their table despite, Kat's disdain for her. And even Ted tries to call her out, like, do you think that's smart? And I didn't think that, but it is what it is. She said Kat did what she wanted to do for her party, and this is our party. So now Eva spots five guys, Sherry with the Sherry face. Okay. She's down at the desk applying to be on the serving staff again for the anniversary party, because apparently we learned that the old bank event manager or whoever got conveniently fired. So Eva's like, why would you be here? What happens if they catch us together? And literally, as soon as she walks away from her conversation with five guys, she runs right into Ted and Nicole. Ted asked to steal Eva back so he can go over a couple more details with her. That's when Sherry decides that she's going to come up to Nicole and tells her. And so, of course, Nicole, being her lovely, compassionate self, is like, hey, how are you doing, Sherry? And she's like, oh, I really need to talk. I really need to talk to you. And so, of course, we know Nicole was already a little too invested, and that wasn't even her client. So I can't even imagine how much more invested she's going to be into this Sherry storyline, right? Or five guys. Again, she's going to come up with a 6, and we got to figure out who number 6 is. So Kat decides, she ends the conversation with Chelsea and Samantha, and she said, you know what? I got to go to lunch with my boo. So once you make a decision, you call me, girl. Okay. Once you make a decision. So Chelsea tells Samantha that, look, I'm sorry for venting about my issues with my mom. And Samantha's like, I do believe that adding your mom would be helpful. And so, she briefly shares about, like, me and Tyrell have a hard life. Things haven't always been easy. So we've learned how to basically, we've learned to appreciate, now that we're in this family, the things that can be, not given to us, but just the luxuries that they get from just being a part of this family, right? So, and that kind of helps bring things full circle for Chelsea. Now, Danny is doing the sexy photo shoot of Andre. I ain't even gonna hold you. Yes, I love Andre. He's fine. Definitely gives me my boo Lorenz state. However, I don't know if we needed all this, right? But we get their cute little sexy scene, and then Danny gets a text from Chelsea, and so she's like, oh, well, Chelsea needs to come over. And she's like, are you going to stay? And then there's this awkward moment, because I feel like we've had this before, where she's like, well, are you going to stay? Because they don't really know about our special friendship yet. Are you ready to tell them? And of course, Andre said deuces. Now, Haley comes into Bill's office, and Bill wants to know, well, hey, are you pregnant? Do you? And Haley's like, it's still too soon. Still too soon. Okay. And so he's apparently been sending her emails about college funds for their child that they still don't even know if it exists. And I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna be quiet. She said it's still too early, right? And she said she's late. Y'all, I'm a woman, okay? And I'm sure even if you're not a woman, you didn't see the commercials, especially if you watch daytime TV. You can go almost up to when I was having a child, it was up to 6 days before your miss period. You mean to tell me that was 2018? You mean to tell me in 2025 we ain't had no advances in medical technology? I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching. Okay. That girl ain't pregnant. Okay. So she gonna get pregnant, but that girl ain't pregnant, in my opinion. So Haley lets him know, look, I overheard your conversation with Tomas, and I think that's, I could have defended you with the mic thing. But possibly being pregnant, it's 50-50. I could be pregnant with a little girl, and I would never want to see my daughter dealing with the same BS that these women had to deal with. And so he said, yeah, I admit the mic thing kind of went over my head. I kind of missed it. And she was like, oh, because you were so busy falling in love with me. And I was like, see, this is the part. This is where you turn us off. Okay. And he tells her, like, look, I'm not trying to play dirty. I'm trying to protect the house. And in order for me to protect what we have, I need to know what's going on. So then, of course, Kat meets with Tomas at Uptown, and she's like, "Oh, how did everything go with Bill?" And of course, he's a little hesitant, and then he's like, "Oh, well, he's talking about or considering me for partner, even though we know he's putting 20 on 10 a little bit." And so, Chelsea finally gets over to Danny's, y'all. Pull that little basket out. You got your basket? I know Easter's over, but do you got your basket? Pull that little basket out of things that I have, little nuggets. And on one of those nuggets, it should say that I absolutely told y'all Danny was going to play in Chelsea's face. And as soon as Chelsea needed her, she going to say, okay. She didn't say it like that. But I knew it. I said, watch Danny be like, no, I'm good. I don't want to work with you now. I don't know. I do think it's a part of her wanting to do her own thing. She also maybe doesn't want Chelsea to get caught in that same cycle. But a part of me believes that it's a little vindictive as well. I think that she wanted Chelsea to feel that. But y'all drop down in the comments and let me know. But I just want to let y'all know I absolutely said that. And I am happy to go back and get the timestamp and find where I told y'all that Danny was going to do this to her. And so now, of course, Chelsea's there sitting there like a sad puppy. Okay. All right, y'all. So look, grass always look green on the other side, but Chelsea can do it. She shouldn't have played with her mama's face like that. But yeah, y'all. So I appreciate y'all being here. I'm about to get on the road and go to work, but thank you. I will catch you later on today for episode 41 Beyond the Gates. That'll be Wednesday's episode. This I just covered Monday and Tuesday. But yeah, y'all. If you haven't already, please make sure that you hit that like button. Make sure that you guys comment. Make sure you subscribe. And please make sure you hit the notification bell. Make sure that you are following us on all of the platforms. That is the Blue Sky, because I do intend to be live skying today. The TikTok, the IG, and the Facebook. And like I said, I will catch y'all later today for episode 41. All right. Have a good day. Happy hump day, y'all. Bye-bye.